Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on CryptoForGrowMyBag.tv. Hope you're having a good one. What's good, what's good, what's good? So it's been an eventful week, has it not? Yeah, it has. It has. Economics is driving us crazy at the moment, which is okay, right? It's totally okay. But what's on the docket for today? Today's question. I normally don't ask this question, but this is going to be the standing question going forward. Have you invested in yourself today? Have you invested in yourself today? Yes, no, I am right now. If you're listening, you are right now. So let's go. Key themes for this week's Sunday Roundup. Key themes: institutional and corporate adoption of Bitcoin, stablecoins and payment innovation, government regulatory action, exchange growth and strategic moves, security breaches and scams, technological innovation and blockchain upgrades, AI and crypto convergence, Bitcoin mining, energy and sustainability, market sentiment and macro trends, education, inclusion and emerging markets, legal actions and enforcement, tokenization of real world assets, because that has increased a lot. We've heard a lot of announcements thus far. ETF trends and investment products, privacy, surveillance, and constitutional rights. We also have Memecoins and altcoin developments. What's going on? Bianca is in his house. What's good? What's good? What's good? Mr. Big, what's going on? And have you invested in yourselves today? What you mean nope and don't plan on it? Don't talk back to me, man. If you're sitting here listening to this, you're investing in yourself. That's right. I'm being a smart aleck, and I can. You see, Bianca understood the assignment, sir. Bianca understood the assignment. I think you just got up today and chose violence. I mean, how can I mess with Ed today? How can I mess with Eddie today? Let me go do this. That's what that was. That's what that was. I know that's what it was. Did you have fun on vacation, by the way? Because inquiring minds need to know. So let's see. Let's attack this. Institutional and corporate adoption of Bitcoin. Brown University has bought some. Strategy increase its Bitcoin holdings. If you don't recall, institutional investors, along with ETFs, own about, 3%? No. That number's wrong. They have more. Oh, that's what it was. Institutional investors and ETFs have already purchased the equivalent of 117% of what is expected to be, not is, but what is expected to be mined this year of Bitcoin. What? Yeah. No, I'm not giving you any kind of credit, sir. None. Zero. Zip. Zilch. Nil. Nada. Nothing. You're investing in yourself right now. I've answered for you. There you go. There you go. Don't find yourself in a corner, young man. You know I'll put you there. Take all your goodies away too, because I know you got some goodies in front of you right now. I know you do. So yeah, you have just a tremendous amount of investment in crypto technology. Okay? Investment in crypto. Let alone you have Warren Buffett saying, the dollar could be in pain right now. Maybe you should pick up some Bitcoin. Excuse me? Yeah, no. I don't think I have to go back and I have to look that up. But I saw that and I was like, Warren Buffett said that? I know that he said the US dollar is having an issue. But Buffett on Bitcoin? Come on now. And did Warren Buffett step down? Wow. I would still be listening to this guy. I would absolutely still be listening to this guy. He avoided talking about Bitcoin, but the dollar's hurting. Where are you going to go? Right? Got to watch out for some of these stories. Rick Ritchie, did you see where they gave an... No, I don't care. It doesn't affect my bag. I could care less. Stupid people. Stupid people doing stupid things. I'm not talking about Wednesday. I'm not going to talk about Wednesday. We all know that Tuesday is the meeting, Wednesday is the decision. We will dig into all of that. We'll dig into all of that. When was it again? When was it? A week from today is the next big bagger meeting. That's the meat of it. I'm not worried about what's coming. I'm worried about what happens that day. I told you guys, I'm not, except for DCA, I'm not buying jack. I'm not buying jack. I know it sounds crazy. But Hutanik, I get you. I would love to have that conversation. I don't think we should. I think now is the time that people should be going back, looking over their notes, looking over their wallets, going over their bags, seeing how much money they have, and have they been DCAing, and do they have dry powder? I think this could be a dry powder kind of week if you ask me. If you ask me, I'm just saying. I think it could be very much a dry powder week. Right? And, it is what it is. You've got Strategy. I told you Strategy upped its holdings to 553,555 BTC. That's a lot to choke on. That is a lot to choke on. And they're creating an offering, a $21 billion offering to get more. Strategy seems to be working out. So we'll see what happens. Kraken's Q1 2025 revenue rose about 19%. And this is along with them buying NinjaTrader. Right? So it's a lot. It's a lot. And they bought NinjaTrader for about 1.5 billion, and then they bought NinjaTrader for I think 1.4, but whatever. They went to the bank, got NinjaTrader, and then they went and got some more money. They went and got $1.5 billion so they could have it in the bank just before their IPO. Kraken is doing a lot of things. Bybit is trying to come into the United States with equity, stock trading as well. How they're doing it, I don't know yet. I do not know, but they're saying that that's what they're doing. And I'm kind of like, ooh, that's a mighty big return. And the question becomes, are they compliant enough to make that return? I would think that they've been working with the government to ensure that they are somewhat, compliant. And then there's at the federal level, and then making sure that at each state that they want to operate in, that they're compliant with each one of those states. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be very interesting. So there's a lot of that I look at, and I'm kind of like, So like I said, if I'm going to look at what's going to happen on Tuesday, right, during the meeting, and then the final decision being let out on Wednesday, I should have very much a clear handle on all of my bags and be up to date on any news and events that's happened with each one of those bags. Why? Because understanding the rhythm of each one of your bags helps you to better understand what kind of news, whether negative or positive, can affect the rhythm of your bag. Big deal. Yeah, they all have schedule. It's a scheduled unlock. Did it affect anything? Yeah, no, not really. I don't look at unlocks as, oh my God, they're having an unlock. Yeah, no, I don't look at it like that. They are scheduled. In other words, they gave you more than enough time to bake into the system. I'm not worried about it. Not at all. Not at all. I'm worried about news that can affect SUI. Right? It's down to 327 right now. I don't think that has anything to do with the unlock. I think it has everything to do with, the markets, people are taking money. And the market's kind of like, what's happening on Wednesday? And I'd be frank with you. I don't think anybody's expecting a drop on Wednesday. I know I'm not. I'm not expecting jack. I'm expecting stead. That's what I'm expecting. Oh, definite volatility in the market this week, man. For real. You are absolutely correct. Absolute volatility in the market, because you're going to have numbnuts that are going to try to do stuff that they shouldn't be doing. So maybe it'll pop up, sell, take that profit, drop down because everybody realizes, oh, that was stupid. But I'm not, as you guys know, I love volatility. Love me some volatility. But I'm not playing the volatility until after the announcement on Wednesday. I'm not doing anything until then. Do what now? It could go that, oh, he didn't drop the rates, and everybody panics and everything drops. It could very well be he didn't drop the rates and nobody does anything. Or he could lose his freaking mind and up the rate, or lower the rate, right? Now, if you look at, we're not, the market's not hot, so upping the rate, yeah, that's not going to happen. Arguments for leaving it alone, kind of strong. Arguments for dropping the rate, in my humble opinion, not as strong, but there are arguments to be made. Seriously, you can't just say it's 0 and 100. That's not the way the world works. It's not 0 and 100. But you actually can see that there could be opportunities. There could be reasons, rather, that you could drop the rate. I just don't see it. I just don't see there being enough information since the last meeting to make that call. I just don't see it. And like I said, the biggest problem is that if this was a normal market and we didn't have somebody manipulating that market and these things were happening, his life would be easier. But right now you're dealing with a manipulated market that is where it is. So if I make a change, what happens then? He could say, they could come to a decision that says, I'm not going to lower the rates, but I'll give you some quantitative easing, which a lot of people are saying it's already happening. But still, he could do something like that. I could see that. The foundation can absorb token releases. Yeah, I don't. So look at it like this. I look at token releases the same way that I look at all the news articles that say, oh my God, there are billions of dollars worth of options expiring today. What? Are you serious? Yeah, we know this. This is not new. This is baked into the system. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You're trying to spit out FUD. So, but every time I see those articles, I'm like, if that's not an automated article, it's the same person putting out that same article every single time. And I'm just like, it makes no difference. It makes zero difference. I think right now what you have are people that, went a little haywire, profit taking. I'm not worried about it. I like Sui. Sui's on the DCA list for me. I just keep going. Sui's a strong project. Go look up, do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. Go do that with Sui. Go figure that out with Sui. Do your own research. You don't have to have a bag for it, but then you'll understand why I'm so into it. Just saying. Hutanic says Bitcoin chart shows an upside down cup and handle forming. Probably not going to cut rates. If gold moves up tomorrow, you can bet no rate cuts. I don't think gold is doing jack. Gold is in its own, hear me out. Gold is in its own freaking world. Just la 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 la. Right? I'm just saying. I also don't look at things, I see all these things happening, right? Oh, this is going to form a cup and handle. This is forming a head and shoulders. This is the. Just because something is happening doesn't mean that something else is going to happen. I have suffered from overthinking what the charts are telling me or believing it. I'm just kind of like, Because and the reason why, I mean, you're looking at Bitcoin like that. I apply that to stocks and cryptos. Cryptos are different in terms of cryptos don't necessarily move based on what you see in a chart. Stock market might, but crypto, I don't believe, does. It's not, I'm not going to say mature. It's not stable like that yet. It hasn't hit that stability point where it does that, where you can kind of predict based on numbers that this is what it'll most likely do. And even then, like I said, there's software out there, even for the stock market, which is more mature, way far more mature than crypto is, that will tell you based on these numbers, the chances of it doing this, or this are these, right? They have that software. That software isn't always right. That's why I sit back and I go, understand what your information is regarding that, right? And then do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. I say that time and time again because how you see things might not be how I see things. Hence, you manage your bags the way you do. I manage my bags the way I do. I tend not to look at short-term movement. I tend to look at short-term movement when I'm playing the trading game. I'm also accepting the fact that when I play the trading game, I am taking major chances, right? Because I want to be stupid and play with the volatility. Do I always hit the high? No. Do I always hit the low? No. Can I be someplace in between there? Yes. But I'm not a pro. I know pros that aren't even all that good. You got to do your own research. Got to know this stuff. The odds are 40. Yeah, I think I can definitely see rates changing in June. I can definitely see that. I can absolutely see that. But like I said, the job is extremely hard during a normal climate, a normal economic climate. But when you have clear manipulation going on, that's hard. Because what happens if they change up a little bit and now the market is doing this? You've already done that. So now you're stuck in a quagmire. Why? Because you lower the rates. They change something. And now you're sitting there going, damn, I shouldn't have lowered the rates. And then you take flack for lowering the rates too soon. Oh, but everybody wanted that. It's why you don't go by what everybody else says. If everybody else was so good at what they do, then go do his job. Go do his job. Yeah, everybody's got a lot to say, but very few can do that man's job. So that's why I kind of listen to. If I'm listening to an economist, economists understand, well, if he does this, it could mean this. If he does that, it could do this. They're actually weighing things based on real data, not, well, if he lowers the rates, it'll do good for me. Or if he raises the rates, it'll do good for me. I don't listen to traders when they talk that nonsense. I do not listen to traders when they talk that nonsense. I listen to economists and what they have to say. And a lot of economists are like, yeah, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place because of manipulation. Does the Fed chair have the ability to lower or increase rates without a board decision? It's not a board decision. They give him information. They tell him how they feel. The end decision is his to make, or hers. You know what I mean? It's that person's decision to make, finally. It's not I don't believe it's a vote thing. I said what I said. Take it under advisement. At the end of the day, it rests on his shoulders. At the end of the day, when he stands in front of everybody, he's saying, so I made the decision too. And that's why the meeting minutes come out, because you want to see who thought what. So there's that. Rick Ritchie, it has resistance at 91,000. Do you say it has resistance at 91,000 or it seems to have a floor at 91,000 is going to be the question. But let's get back to our weeks long retrospective. What else is good? Pro shares, XRP futures, ETFs were approved, but they delayed the launch. Galaxy Digital plans on going IPO on NASDAQ May 16th, GLXY. So that's going to be interesting. I really do think that Galaxy Digital is on the verge of making some major moves. Galaxy Digital seems to be a bigger player than what most people think in the crypto space. So I am looking to see what Galaxy Digital is doing. And I want to see what their overall strategy is. Because remember, they just bought a boatload of Solana. They dumped some Ethereum and they used that to go get some Solana. So I'm dying to see what that is. Rick Ritchie, one word, support. What does that mean? Oh, you're answering my question. Yeah, it's supported. It's supported at 91,000. It seems like that. It does seem like that, right? What could happen that could drop Bitcoin? Not moving the rates. I don't know if that would drop Bitcoin. Because I think the odds on the street are, yeah, he's going to leave it alone. And maybe we get something in June. Are the odds high that in June we get something? I think so. But that doesn't mean that we actually get something in June. It just means that we could. I need more information for me to get a feel for how I feel about June. Because, again, I'm one of those people that believes that the market is highly manipulated. There's still that albatross around our neck called, I don't know, debt. The other one, tariffs. So next week, a week from today, the big baggers are going to have a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. Before then, yeah, I told you how I feel about it. I've been telling you how I feel about it for the past, 2 weeks? Grrr. Just saying, there's a ton of stuff. And then you have a lot of things going on with stablecoins. You got Visa and MasterCard making all kinds of stablecoin deals. You had Ripple, the brass, the cojones, as they say in my old neighborhood, to go up, knock on the door of Circle and say, hey, I think this is worth about $5 billion. I got that. Do you want to give me the keys? What? Oh, man. And that's a hard decision because who's involved with that decision? Coinbase. Because Coinbase makes the most money off of Circle. They make more money off of Circle than Circle makes off of Circle. So they're kind of like, yeah. But do you think that conversation is at all over? Nope. I don't think so. I do not think so. I think there is a number that Ripple could come with where that board would definitely have to stop and think about it. They definitely have to stop and think about it. The dropping rates. No, I don't know where you're going with that. I don't. I'm not even trying. I got so much stuff on the brain right now. I'm not trying to fill in other people's gaps. I can't think what's in your head. But my issue is, or are you thinking, well, would that make Japan want to dump? I think Japan is smart enough to keep doing what they're doing. They're being very quiet. They flexed. They gave this regime the FO part of the FAFO. And they said what they said. I don't think Japan is a variable in that. because they've been very quiet. They did what they did, and they're letting this regime contemplate that. You live with that. And when you think about that number, 50 billion, are you joking? Are you kidding me? That was way more. That little bit of money sent chills. Except, I want you to stop and think about this. Why are we? So if Japan holds the most debt, why are we messing with China? Because China has the biggest trade problem. China doesn't have a trade problem. We have a trade problem. We created the situation. We're blaming everybody else for it. This is a red herring. I don't understand why people don't get that. This is a red herring. Period. Period. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And everybody's freaking out. I don't see why. I don't see why. It does not have to be a variable. It is not. I don't believe. I disagree with you. Listen to what you wrote. They about wrecked their system with 50 billion. Not ours. They sent us a message, and the message was, and I said this earlier this week, or earlier last week. We don't want this, but we could definitely make it happen. And that was it. That was the message. That was the message. Our problem isn't what they make it, what they're making it out to be. We shouldn't be having this deep of a conversation about it, is my point. We created the problem, and not this year. We created the problem when we gave away manufacturing. That's when we created the problem. You can see it coming. You can see it coming. We talk about corporate greed now. Corporate greed was way worse back then because nobody was weighing it. Nobody weighed that corporate greed, the effect of that. What do you think? It was just going to be the way it was? We're going to give them manufacturing. They're always going to have 1 million people doing stuff? No, eventually they're going to make it better. A nitwit is going to try to make a process better. That's what they did. And we got punched in the mouth for it. Our bond system caught fire in 10 minutes because of them. I believe you. Yes, absolutely. Because they flexed. They have no reason to do so again. Why is that? They know what the effect is. It affects both sides. That's not what they want. But they're saying if you want a war, we can bring a war. We can go to war with this. And the obvious point is we both lose. There's no winner. We both lose. With regard to the dropping of rates, I do not think they were a variable in that space. They're not a part of the impact conversation. The impact conversation is China, who also did that. Nobody's economy is strong enough to sustain a trade war. Period. No economy. Name one. Name one. Oh, wait. Maybe some of the third world countries, second world countries, maybe some of them are. Because they're just improving. Don't believe me? How is everybody looking at India? I don't think anybody's ever used third world country with India, and they wouldn't right now, right? Look at all the deals that India's been making. It's insane. India's been making really, really big moves. If we have a trade problem, if you said the United States has a trade problem, again, we don't have a trade problem. I mean, they don't have trade problems. We have trade problems. We're giving things away. We gave manufacturing away. So manufacturing jobs left. Manufacturing jobs left. Now we're on this kick that we're going to bring back manufacturing. How many years is it going to take to bring, to bring something back online? It's going to take years, right? And then when you bring it back online, well, how many actual jobs are there going to be? And by the way, those companies that bring back those manufacturing jobs, well, bring back manufacturing, because they never say manufacturing jobs. When they bring that back, what kind of incentives do they get for bringing it back? More tax write-offs? Most likely. So the real jobs? Oh yeah, the real jobs are being lost to India. We gave it to them. I don't blame India for what we did. Now, are they going to have effects on whether or not the rate goes up or down? No. We are going to affect whether the rates go up or down. I don't think Japan is going to flex next week. I don't think China is going to flex next week. China said what they said. They were like, well, you want to talk? Show us that you want to talk. You started this. Show us you want to talk. Do something that demonstrates to us that you want to have a realistic conversation about this stuff. And by the way, stop being disrespectful. And some people sit there, oh, we're not, no. We're making China out to be the bad guy, and they're not. Do they do underhanded stuff? Everybody does underhanded stuff, right? But I'm talking about in the general sense of the idea. They didn't come here and take manufacturing. You kidding me? That's not what happened. So that's what they mean. Don't be disrespectful. You want to have a conversation? We can have a conversation. That's what they're saying. On these terms. Okay. Well, whether or not we want to speak on those terms is another one. Our bond system. Yeah, I got that one. I could care less about Tesla. I really could care less about Tesla. It's been proven time and time again that the quality of their stuff just is not what people expected it to be. The other question is, why would they pause rates if they are going to cut in 30 more days? It's 6 weeks. It's 6 weeks. And it happens. That's the way it works. You make your decision on this one, and then you keep calculating you keep gathering your data points. And then the next meeting, it's every 6 weeks. That's why you do it. Right? Standard operating procedure. It's nothing nefarious. What could, but you do have a point though. What could affect the Wednesday decision? You want me to be totally frank with you? Sunday, May 4th, what's going to affect the decision that happens that actually happens May 6th and gets announced May 5th? I mean, May 5th and gets announced May 6th? Nothing. It would have to be a huge macro event that would have to happen. And I don't think anybody wants to do, no, everybody's going to not touch Jack. I don't think Japan's going to do anything. I don't think China's going to do anything. Russia does what it does, but it's nobody cares about Russia. India is just making the moves that it's going to make, but they're not directly impactful like that. I don't think anybody, Saudi Arabia, same thing. I don't think anybody is doing anything like that. I think they're going to wait. They're going to wait and see. Let me rephrase. Let me correct myself. The only entity that can have an effect, possibly, is if there is another radical move by the current regime. What was the first radical move? Oh, let's call a tariff war against everybody. Let's call a tariff war against anybody. Then let's go to recorded events and talk about how everybody's kissing your hiney. Yeah, let's go do that. That makes sense. That sounds like a good idea. That's what I mean by disrespectful. Do you want to deal with somebody who's going to say that? Knowing that it's not true. saying that and knowing that it's not true. This country consumes the most in the world, and we're going to flex on other people? Huh? Does that play out in your brain? Let me add to the last question. Why would we do that with $6 trillion of debt to roll in the next 6 weeks? It's not normal to refi a recession at a 4x, at 4 times the rate. That's not a him problem. That's not a him problem. That's a us problem. They're trying to force his hand, and he's saying, listen, you effed up. You've been effing up. The government has been effing up for a long time. We've just made it worse. We've made it worse. And we're trying to make it worse again by saying, well, you know, we're gonna have a whole bunch of tax cuts, which cuts income and makes it so that we don't make the money. And yeah, it's not a Jerome problem. See, that's the problem right there. That's the problem right there. Nobody understands your little comment about, red wagons. The problem right there is everybody's now looking at Jerome Powell and saying it's your problem. It's not. He didn't create the problem. He's trying to manage through it. I'm going to cut rates in a manipulated market. Okay, play that out. All I see is people constantly saying the same thing, asking the same question, making the same comments for days and days and days and days and days. It gets annoying after a while. Play it out in your head. Here's the decision tree analysis. We drop rates, or we drop the rate, and then we go off and we refi whatever it is that we're going to do because the government's been screwing up. We're basically kicking the can down the road. Well, here's our austerity package. I'm not moving jack. Go do what you're supposed to do. Stop managing money like idiots. It's not a Jerome problem. Jerome didn't create the problem. The regime created this problem. We could have managed through this without all this turmoil and muckety muck. That's what we could have done. And now everybody's looking at Jerome Powell like, can you save the day, please? Can you lower the rates the way we want you to lower the rates? Had you not touched the market was already cooling off. Had you not touched the market, we could have projected about when we were going to have those cuts. Frankly, I think because of the market manipulation, we missed out on when we would have had that first cut. You shock the system with this tariff stuff. That's not a Jerome problem. That's a regime problem. Like I said, market was already cooling off in my humble opinion. So on Tuesday, they'll have their meeting. Wednesday, they'll come out with everything. I think, the market, I don't think the market's going to be all that shocked. I think it's already baked in. I think the June meeting is going to be special. The June meeting will absolutely be special. May meeting, we already know what we're doing. We already know what he's going to do. I don't know why that's a continued conversation. That's why I said that the next meeting after the next big bagger meeting after this, week from today, that will be the conversation. What happens now? What happens now? Everything that we're talking about right now, it's already baked in. The market's already baked it in. If we have major market movement, it's because there's a surprise. And do I expect a surprise from Powell? Nope. Not at all. Not at all. And what if he does drop the rate by 25 basis points? What's the impact? What's the impact on that? They have the capability of dropping rates during an emergency session. Absolutely. They absolutely do have that ability. Nobody wants that. That would absolutely shock the market. That would shock the world. What we're proving to everybody right now is we don't know how to manage money. We don't know how to manage our economy. But then again, you look around the world and you say, well, none of y'all know how to manage your economy. Everybody's got major, massive debt. We just happen to have the most. Could he stop in the middle of a sudden and go, 3 weeks? So 3 weeks after, like on May 21st or whatever, could he say, "Oh, I'm gonna drop the rates because things are just out of step"? It could absolutely do that. But an emergency move like that, it's not the amount of the cut, it's how the cut was done that would freak everybody out. And I think that the markets will be fine if we had to wait another 6 weeks for the first cut. Again, had the tariffs, had that strategy, I can't even call it strategy, have those actions not happen with regard to trade wars, I think we would have already had our first rate cut. But what happened was, I want it now. That's what he was told. I want it now. Do it now. So he was like, nah. And then so you went and you had a hissy fit. And he's like, you done? If I had I wish, think of a kid having a tantrum in the store. I wish I would have had a tantrum in the store. My mother was going to solve that problem on the spot. I'm a black man. My butt would have been bright red. I'd have been a reverse Rudolph right there on the spot. Are student loans fixed rate? I don't know. Ask the person that has the loans. I have no idea. I don't have any student loans. My kids do. I don't. Never have. Oh, because I didn't go to college. Self-taught. Graduated from one of the best high schools in the country and was in business for myself before I graduated. My ups and downs, licking wounds, partying because of wins, all that stuff has happened throughout my life. The amount of money I'm making now is more than what I would have made if I'd gone to college for what I wanted to go to college for. Electrical engineering. Really? What? Nah. I even got that wrong. What I wanted to do, what I should have done is I should have become an electrician. Because I liked mucking around with lights and stuff like that, and wires and stuff when I was a kid. That's what I used to do. That's why getting into computers was a big deal for me, because I got to build my own computer. Right? That's how that went. I wonder if college graduates even know that. They know it if they look at their bill. And I would not be surprised if it's a fixed rate. I don't think that's a variable rate. I'm pretty sure it's a fixed rate. It is what it is for the life of the loan. This is not one of those mortgage things. So the UK Treasury released a draft law to regulate stablecoins. The Senate is trying to rush through the Genius Act. I think that's going to be a problem. I think the Genius Act could actually wind up being a problem. Because I think the U.S. government, I think other governments around the world are trying to treat stablecoins backed by stablecoins that are pegged to their fiat as their own private CBDCs. I think they're trying to turn stablecoins into CBDCs, and I think that's why a lot of people are going to wind up staying with USDT because, well, yeah, nah. I think USDT is going to thrive because of laws like that. Are they trying to create another stablecoin to re-enter into the U.S. market? Sure, they are. Is that going to have the success that USDT already enjoys? Yeah. I don't necessarily think so. Right? I think USDT is just going to thrive. But something I am watching are the moves by World Liberty Financial. I am watching the moves by the World Liberty Financial. And the reason why is because it's tied to the current regime. And there was a $2 billion deal that happened this week. And that deal didn't have to be done with USD1, which is their stablecoin. It actually doesn't make sense. So Yeah, I got big issues with that. I got big issues with that. That's Stitch acting up. Just came from outside and is now asking me to let him outside. It's not going to happen. He's going to sit there and cry for a little bit. What else do we have? We've got exchange growth. Binance surpassed 265 million users. Coinbase added WLD WorldCoin to its roster. Oh my God. I don't know why. A lot of people might be interested in it. It's not me. What else do we have? Kraken exposed a North Korean spy, for all intents and purposes, that tried to get a job at their company. This is the level of war that North Korea is waging against the rest of the world. And I think we're shrugging this off too much. I think the billions of dollars that they've stolen from the rest of the world should make everybody cringe. The whole world should be looking at North Korea and kind of going, yeah, maybe it's time we squash that bug. What size is the anvil we're going to drop on this little roach is the question. Because it's constant, just stealing and stealing and stealing and stealing. I told you also earlier in the week, I told you about how they set up companies in various countries to pull off some of their war maneuvers. And they are war maneuvers. Right? It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. What else is there? We have SoFi resumed crypto banking after regulatory relief under the new administration. Coinbase suspended Move. Move had that big problem with a market maker and an insider. Apparently that insider has been suspended. It was allegedly, it was one of the co-founders. Bunk partnered with Kraken to offer 300 crypto assets to its banking customers. Its 17 million banking customers. That's a big deal. And what I didn't realize? Kraken has 17 million users too. Wow. I mean, that's significantly smaller. That's not even what is it? It's less than a tenth of what Binance has, but that's still a nice healthy number. And think about that. They're making moves at a Binance level. In other words, Kraken saying we're not an also-ran to Coinbase. In the United States, we're not an also-ran. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. What else we have? Tron's X account was hacked. Houston-based Verisource suffered a breach impacting 4 million people's personal data. The reason why I bring that forward is because every time there's a breach, if it's a company that you use, you have to contemplate, well, what other breaches happen with companies that I use? Where they have overlapping data, my name, my date of birth, my social security number, blah, 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 blah. How much of that is overlapping and how much more of a clearer picture do they have using my data? That's why I bring those things up, because it's something for us to pay attention to. It is scary, and you need to manage your data. Have a problem? Go get a new credit card. Go get a new debit card. Because you get new numbers. That's perfectly fine. Go do that. Go do that. Change your passwords on a regular basis. These are a lot of things that you can do to take care of things. Fake exchanges and AI-powered scams have helped to launder over $24 billion. That's as per a United Nations report. Garantex supposedly has rebranded as Grinex or Grinex to evade sanctions. That's a Russian company, and you're kind of like, ooh, that's not cute. That doesn't make a point. You have to what's the full point there that you're saying, Hutanik? What's the whole point? So it's the elephant in the room in what way? Right? What is it? Guys, I see you talking about some small caps, some minuscule caps. Do your research on those. Do your research on those. Right? Just because you said, do your own research. Do your own research. Come from a resource that you trust, that you like, that you trust, all that good stuff, but trust the information that you get. Trust but verify. Just saying. Just saying. I mean, look at mantra. Okay. Trust but verify. What else we have? Technological innovation. Cardano's face melting net AI test net. That's going to be a very big deal. People aren't paying attention. Cardano's making moves that should make people's jaws drop. Ethereum unveiled plans for faster finality, privacy, and scalability upgrades under Vitalik Buterin's roadmap. That's going to be a very big deal. Everybody's like, oh, it's too little, too late. It's not. It's not for the most used chain out there. It's not. Duolingo and Shopify have actually said they're going AI first. For Duolingo, that's a big deal. Because when AI came out, Duolingo had an immediate problem. They had an immediate impact. Immediate. Right? Shopify going AI, that's going to have an immediate impact. I'm getting calls from a lot of small businesses right now. Holy moly, how can we leverage AI to make our lives better? It's the wrong question. The right question is, how can we leverage AI and automation to make our lives better at my small business? How can I do more with more? And not necessarily more people. There's a whole protocol around AI where agents can talk to other agents in specific ways, the same way that the internet was built. HTTP is the protocol that people use, that websites use to talk to each other. Browsers use that to talk to each other, the whole nine. Now there's MCP as a protocol for AI agents. And businesses are thinking, holy moly, I'm so far behind. How could I possibly afford this? How can I leverage AI without giving away my data? All that stuff. Give me a call. There are a lot of ways that you can do it. You can save a lot of money. Make your business more efficient. Make your people more efficient while upskilling them, keeping them relevant in the marketplace, keeping your company in the marketplace relevant. And the reason why I talk about this is because some of us own businesses. That's part of our investment package, our investment portfolio. It's not just stocks, bonds, options, crypto, blah, blah, blah. It's also, some of us own businesses or invest in businesses. Kind of a big deal. Kind of a big deal. Let's see. Bitcoin's hash rate is nuts. Bitcoin mining rose 17% in energy use, with over 50% managed by renewables. That's interesting. Riot Platforms doubled Q1 revenue, but posted a $296 million loss due to accounting adjustments. Why is that? Well, they also did get into the energy business by buying, that wind turbine company. So that's a big deal. I can't wait till I go solar. Holy moly! When I go solar, I'm gonna be saving so much money. It's gonna be funny. Let's see, what else do we have? Bitcoin miners are actually turning to AI computing and climate mitigation to improve profitability. Yeah. The technology that we're using right now takes up more energy, requires more energy. And as well as, if we can work more efficiently, we might be able to bring down that energy usage. And the technology now is making that a strong possibility. Market sentiment and macro trends. Ray Dalio warned that global monetary collapses, warned of a global monetary collapse as U.S. tariffs drive deglobalization. You want to swing that you want to maneuver that over to PaxG instead of holding on to your Bitcoin. I can't tell you how to do it. I would tell you to do your own research. I would tell you to contemplate what could be. You would be moving Bitcoin over to PaxG because the message that you're saying is you think Bitcoin is going to take a dip. Now, am I going to be wrong by ever getting into PaxG? Probably not, right? But am I going to be wrong getting into Bitcoin? I don't think it's an either or. I think it's a both kind of situation. That's just my humble opinion. Depending on how much you moved, like what have been your moves, basically I would tell you take a step back, look at your whole portfolio, and understand the percentages that you're dealing with, and see, well, does that percentage work for me or not, and then make your adjustments from there. Right? I would say make your adjustments from there. Ripple's $5 billion bid for Circle rejected hard. It was a no, but the way they did it, it doesn't sound like they can't come back. I think they come back. I don't know who Ed is. My name isn't Ed. It's Eddie. Yes, I'm busting his chops. I don't always keep the feed going, but if that's what people want me to do, I'm happy to keep the feed going for a little bit. I'm happy to do that. So we can determine how long that's going to be, and we can see how long we can keep it on after. But I can only keep it on for a certain period of time after, because remember, we're saving those videos, and those videos do take up space. I'm only looking at the dollars going in the past 30 days. Needs to be swung over. Okay, but that's based on your numbers for your portfolio. Okay. I'm just giving you a general idea about, what I'd be doing if I was thinking something like that. That's what I'm thinking. Privacy, surveillance, and constitutional rights. Coinbase argue that the IRS's bulk crypto data collection violates the Fourth Amendment. Ledger users were targeted with fake security letters, physical letters being mailed to people. So be careful out there. EU's GDPR could threaten blockchain immutability by requiring data deletion. They can beg, but the requirement, how are you going to enforce that, bro? I said it earlier this week, and I remember laughing about it. How are you going to enforce that? Good luck. Good luck. I wish you all the luck in the world for you enforcing, clawback things, implementations for different coins, making that a necessity. Good luck. Oh, it has personal information on the blockchain. You have to delete the blockchain. Good luck. Let me know how that works out. I think the EU is constantly moving in the wrong direction when it comes to newer technologies. I think the EU is spending so much time going after crypto, and I have to tell you the truth. I think the bigger problem that we have is artificial intelligence. I think that's the bigger problem that we have, and they're ignoring it. Let's go after crypto. Let's go after crypto. Let's go after crypto. And all they want to do with regard to crypto is have control. Meanwhile, AI is the wild, wild west. I'm just saying. Grayscale launched Bitcoin Adopters ETF, targeting companies with BTC treasuries. Big deal. 21 shares promoted a portfolio strategy with a 1% Dogecoin allocation to boost returns. So 99% Bitcoin, 1% Doge, and they saw a 1.75% increase in their findings. Yeah, they went from 7.25 to 8.95, or 1.7, fine, to 8.95% return. Yeah. I'm just saying, they run the numbers on everything. They've got the software and computer power to actually run those numbers, and they do it all day, every day. All day, every day, which is why I tell you guys, do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. The GMB3. Practice that. I'm telling you, get the book. Get the book. It'll teach you and show you how you can apply the GMB3 to almost all of your investments. Just saying. Memecoins, there was it's something else that flew under the radar, not a lot of people picked up on. There's a company called Freight Technologies. They invested $20 million in the Trump coin. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. I'm actually happy that they were above board with it. I think it's a stupid move, but at least they were above board with it. The question is, how many companies made the investment and haven't said anything to anybody? Right? Now, supposedly, there are about 227 top investors, 227 or 226 top investors that are having dinner with the new regime, and 50 of them are going to get VIP tours. From an ethics perspective, that's bad. From an investment perspective, how it could affect our bags, I wonder what they want. What's the play? You want to know who else invested in, like, all over the place with World Liberty Financial and in certain coins? Justin Sun. Again, I ask myself, so what's the play? There's going to be an impact on my bags, and I'm spending time trying to understand, so what's the play for each one? And truth be told, the ones that I know about are not the ones I'm worried about. It's the ones that we don't know about. How do you know who invested all that money? And with specific numbers? Again, what's the play? What do they want that made them do this? Just saying. In other words, what I'm saying is there are more shoes to drop. If I can pay for an audience, there are more shoes to drop. That's what I'm paying attention to. So what do we have coming up this week? Normally I say let's use what we have from last week to look forward to this week. The only thing that's going to matter this week is going to be the FOMC meeting, and I don't think that's a big deal. I think the bigger deal that we should be paying attention to, believe it or not, is not about the rate cuts in the FOMC. I think it's, at best, you have the forward-looking thoughts from the FOMC meeting. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the continued talk about our debt and what we're trying or not trying to do about the United States debt. We want to make tax cuts permanent. Have you lost your ever-loving mind? That's loss of revenue. And who are those tax cuts for? Oh, and we have all this tax conversation that is happening or not happening. And that's where my worry is. That's where my worry is. So if I'm looking at this week, I'm looking for all the conversation around taxes, like United States taxes. I've got big fear there. That is truly the elephant in the room. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. I hope you enjoy what I'm doing. I hope you enjoy having the conversation with me and what we're sharing here. Some of the guys were talking about this crypto called House. You might want to look into it. You might not, but that's what they were talking about. I'm probably going to go take a look right now. But if you like what I'm doing, do me a favor, smash the likes, tell your friends about this community. And if you're not a big bagger yet, I strongly suggest you become one by going to https://growmybag.tv/sign-up. Why? Because we've got a big bagger meeting coming 1 week from today, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where it's a video conference between all of the big baggers where we talk about all of this and more. We actually don't even bother to talk about this. We talk about the bigger things that directly affect our bags. Bigger, stronger, just thoughts and ideas. Different ideas about different projects that we want to get involved in, why we want to get involved in those projects. We actually sit down and go through some of those projects. Obviously, the big question that we're going to be talking about is going to be the Fed rate decision, tariff wars, definitely taxes, obviously U.S. debt. There are a few things that we're going to have on the plate that we're going to want to get to. Everybody, I hope you enjoy what I do. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And as always, thank you for your trust. Everybody, have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.